Welcome once more to ITU Telecom World here in Geneva in Switzerland, and I'm talking with Reza Jafari, who is the chairman of the ITU board. Reza, good to see you again. A couple of years since we last spoke, but we've met many times in the past. I'd like to ask you this to begin with. You know and I know that over the past 10, 15 years we've seen a boom in ICT globally, but now things are changing. Some countries are fine, they're untouched by economic woes, but others aren't. What do you think are the most pressing challenges of the ICT sector today?
Well, the ICT industry, Martin, as you know, is the infrastructure of the infrastructure. During the past few years in particular, when the Great Recession started in 2008 and 2009, there were a lot of talks and a lot of discussions and a lot of dialogues about the role of ICT in the recovery of our economy. Many people did not pay attention. They still are not paying attention that ICT can play a very significant role in bringing the economy back again to its feet and to its life, because the ICT is the infrastructure of not only the infrastructure of our own, again, broadbands or voice or data. It is the infrastructure that drives every single vertical industry. So we had paid a little more attention in rebuilding what broadband and what broadband mobile in particular can do for our economy. We would have been in much better shape than we are today. It is not still too late. We still can do something about it, but we did not pay much attention. But of course, we are not detached from the rest of the market sectors. We are part of the other sectors of the economy. As they say, when one of the industries sneezes, the rest of them catch pneumonia. So it is what is happening now for our industry as well.
Now, you're the chairman of the ITU board. What are your expectations of the show here this year? It's very different to the ITU Telecom Worlds that we've seen in the past. And secondly, do you have a message, a key message that you want to give to the delegates, to the visitors, and those who will watch this interview later?
Well, managing the expectations of participants and delegates is always the hardest thing to do, because our industry is changing. And it is not just changing from one direction or the other direction. It is a multi-stakeholder, multi-dimensional change. So we have to manage a series of expectations. You have to manage the expectation of the user community. We have to manage the expectation of the private sector. We have to manage the expectations of the public sector. So there's a group of players and actors who come to the ITU that all have their own perspective and their own expectations. It makes our job a bit difficult in managing everybody's expectations. But the expectations from ITU is they want to see ITU in the leading position of what is happening in our industry. And it sounds like so far we have been able to live up to managing that expectation. In terms of our messages, the message has been, unfortunately, again, during the past few years or so, convoluted, because there are so many players have entered the market. And as you know, they call them over-the-tops, Googles of the world and Facebooks of the world and Apples of the world. We have not included them in our ecosystem yet. And I believe this is our message, that we will be inclusive as we move on forward, and we would like to have all players and become under the same umbrella, and we'll work together for the betterment of the human life.
How do you think ICT can best be used, not just for economic development, but also for social development around the globe?
Well, this has been one of the foundations of the work that I have been doing personally, and ITU and other trade associations such as the GSMA and the United Nations itself and the UN Foundation, and also in particular. We would like to make sure that ICT, it is not just for the sake of ICT. We've seen the proliferation of ICT in the healthcare industry, in education, in government, in agriculture, in manufacturing. I personally spent quite a bit of my time during the past 5 years in the healthcare arena, because this is the matter of life and death, as they say. And this is a sector that needs the most attention in terms of using the ICT, providing access, providing facilities. We are short of 200,000 primary care physicians. We are short of 500,000 nurses in the world. There is no way that we can build that capacity unless we use ICT in order to be able to extend and expand the capacity that we have and moving forward. So ICT is going to play a very, very significant role in helping other sectors, especially the sectors that is going to improve the development of the underdeveloped countries and emerging markets.
What do you think are the promises and the risks of social media in giving voice and power to the people? We've seen a lot of it in the Arab world, the Arab Spring over this year. What's your take on that?
I chaired a session yesterday with several ministers, minister from Egypt, a minister from Malaysia, and several other very high-level actors on a specific topic of the role of social media and creating social change and democracy. It is a two-edged sword, as they call it. From one perspective, it is a very, very important tool to have. Again, this is the new technology. It is not something, again, we didn't have. We used to get together in the middle of the village square and communicate and talk to each other. Now we are doing it through Twitter and Facebook. What is happening, that is creating a set of expectations that I believe in many countries that they have gone through the revolutionary process, they have not been met yet. Tunisia is one example. Yesterday they had the election after 8 months. Egyptians are not happy with the way it happened. Well, we will find out about Libya, we will find out about Yemen, we will find out about Syria, and again, the list goes on and on. So the message is very powerful that yes, if you bring the power of the crowd together, you can bring about change. The most important part that happens after the revolution is the transition. How you're going to go through the transition and turn the transition into a sustainable, stable society and stable economy, and that is now still, the jury, as they say, is still out, and we still have to watch to see how this thing is going to turn out.
Can you tell us one thing you think that needs to happen for us to get nearer to the mission of providing more global citizens with more meaningful access to connected technology?
The ecosystem of our industry started changing since about 4 or 5 years ago, and is becoming more complex, more stakeholders, more multifaceted, more multi-layer. So ITU has to be a leading agency and a leading player in the ecosystem that brings all the players together and incentivizes every entity, from individuals that happen to be in the center of our ecosystem and all other players. Otherwise, we will not be able to accomplish the mission and the goals of the ITU if we do not lead the new ecosystem that is going to take us to the future.
Reza Jafari, thanks very much indeed.